Good morning to everyone. We'll get started in about a minute or so, just letting some folks come on in, and then we'll get started with the webinar. All right, good morning to everyone. It is 11 o'clock and we like to be timely. My name is Damon Hoyle from Texas Education Agency. Before we jump into our webinar or to the official content with our vendor today, Affinity Empowering, just kind of wanted to set some norms at the beginning of the webinar. So we do have a Q&A time, a question and answer segment at the end of the webinar. And so as folks send in your questions in the Q&A chat feature, we will answer some of them while the presentation is going on via typing them. The other ones we will answer live. We do ask that you focus the questions on Affinity Empowering and their offerings and what that entails, and that we stick to that topic. We're not here to necessarily talk about public health guidance or anything else. And then at the end, myself and anyone else from TA will help facilitate the Q&A. But we're excited to be here again with Affinity Empowering, and I'll turn it over now to our friends over at Affinity. So Mike.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the TEA and Damon and his team for hosting us for our encore presentation. And also thank all of you for attending and expressing your interest in learning more about what we have to offer your school for COVID-19 screening testing. Let me see here if I can go ahead and share my screen now. I'm hoping everyone can see it.
Yes, sir. We can see it.
Okay.
Looks good.
The name of our program is called Operation Expanded Testing. We are a federally funded program. So we are included in the state of Texas for the schools, for the TEA and dishes. But we also serve prisons, jails, daycares, other community service organizations like shelters and homeless shelters, women's shelters, men's shelters. So we're more than just testing for schools. We are actually in 20. I'll cover some more of this here in a minute. Who we have on from my team today? I think my immediate leader, David Chung, is supposed to be on here, but I haven't seen him come in yet. And then I've got a couple of my account management people that are on as well, Brittany Williams and Brian. We'll go over a program interview, then Q&A, and as Damon said, I guess try and put your questions in the question chat, and then we'll kind of get to those at the end. And again, we are federally funded. We're through the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The program was originally intended for schools, but it's expanded into the other areas that I talked about, prisons, community service organizations, daycares, where we may differ from some of the other suppliers. If you have like an early childhood development program out of your district or one of your schools, we can cover children under 3 as part of the federal program, where the state program ends at K3 if the K3s and 4s are in the same building as your regular elementary or kindergarten first graders. It's simple to get enrolled and get started. Uh, and we've had some good success since our first meeting with schools coming on board. I noticed there's one of the schools that accepted yesterday that's actually on the call today for their district. So it's very flexible with our varied experience. We've got experience doing all kinds of different testing scenarios. We have some that where they're on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they're testing the band and student athletes for junior high and high school. And then that way they're clear to play football or participate in the band programs for Thursday and Friday. And, they're going to do that every week. We have some private schools that are, every Monday they're testing everybody that as they come back from the weekend, student and staff. So we have others that are using the rapid test. And if they get, let's say 2 children in the 3rd grade at an elementary school, then, they're going to utilize us to go test the whole 3rd grade or anyone else that may have been in close contact with those children that tested positive. We actually have another district that's using the program, and I've seen it here recently more in the news. It's called Testing to Stay in School, where they are going to test children and staff that have been exposed to a COVID positive, every day. And as long as they test negative, they can stay and attend physical school rather than go to virtual learning. So we'll work with you to develop a program that really makes sense for you and your school. Your students and your parents a whole lot better than we do. Then again, there's no cost to the school for any of the services that we provide. We do not provide PPE or people to do the collection. The PPE is, if you attended the grant meetings earlier this week, your PPE can come out of one of those grants. It's still a little iffy on what you can do and if you need additional testing staff. I'll let y'all work that with Damon and dishes. That's kind of out of my swim lane, but we do not provide any additional staffing to come into your school to do the testing. You do have confidence that you've got a plan that you can rapidly identify. Excuse me, got a bit of a cold here. I apologize. It's very easy to implement. We can have you up and running for screening testing in 2 to 3 weeks. Our goal is 2 weeks or less, but like everybody else, we're seeing the supply chain issues with some of the supplies that are in our test kits, just like everybody else is facing right now. You do get timely results. We are contractually obligated to 24 to 48 hours with the Department of Health and Human Services. We're currently running about 20 hours from. So if you tested today, you would have your results tomorrow afternoon, because we normally have FedEx pick up everything in the afternoons. And it gives you a sense of wellness and security for, your students, teachers, staff, that, your other mitigation practices are paying dividends. Where we're at now is we're kind of here, and I'll say, we're kind of before enrollment. You do, as part of our process, you do get access to a web-based portal. So all you need to access your results is a web browser. You are the only ones that can see your results other than our team members and our staff. Our staff are all HIPAA trained and certified. So we do not share, your information with anybody else other than you. Parents, when they enroll their child, can sign up, and they can either receive an email or a text message that says, "Hey, your child's results are out there." We also cover everybody that works for you in the district: uh, students, staff, bus drivers, maintenance, cafeteria workers. If you have volunteers that are in your school or also help with the collection, they are also covered for testing purposes at no cost. Uh, we we will we normally assign what we call a logistics coordinator to your schools. It may not be the same one for every school in your district. It may just depend on how large your district is. Uh, and then that person is your go-to person. They're your customer service person tied specifically to your school. We generally have about 3 to 5 schools tied to a person. A lot of it depends on how often you're going to test and the complexity of it. And we do provide ongoing program management. One of the things that we've got now that just became available this week is, I know that you all have to do your dishes report weekly, participation and hours. We can provide the data at both the school level, but you can also pull it for the district level, and it exports to Excel. So if you only want to see your positive cases for a week for your entire district, we can provide that in an Excel format. And you will be able to pull your own reports at some point. Right now, we're still making sure that it works good before we release it to the general population. So your logistics account manager would be the one that could pull that data for you, but ultimately you'll be able to get your own reports at the district. You can currently get them at the school level, just not consolidated district level. Our test accuracy, we're basically 100%. We are a PCR test. We are not rapid testing and do not have access to any of the rapid testing supplies. So, we are more geared towards testing larger numbers of people in what we call a pool testing environment. And I'll cover a little of that later on what we mean by a pool test, because we do test individuals when needed. And you get almost no false negatives or positives with what we're doing. We can do genome sequencing. There is normally an extra cost for that piece of it, but we can do that. Our samples are basically collected with Q-tips, and we do have an emergency use authorization for self-collection for ages 3 and older. It takes about 90 seconds per person, and that includes all the barcode scanning, the swabbing, and everything else. So if you got 3 people, you could do 120 people an hour. So it's very quick. For children 3 to 12, we call it adult assisted. They need to be observed. An adult needs to collect the sample, excuse me. But it does not need to be a healthcare provider. It just needs to be someone over the age of 18. So if you have administrative staff that you would like to use, we can train them as well. 13 to 17, they can swab themselves. They do need to be observed so that we know that they're getting a good swab. And over 18, no requirements. They swab themselves. If you do have Organizations like early childhood development, where you have children under 3, those do require a health care trained professional to do the swabbing, such as a RN, LVN, EMT, paramedic. Does not necessarily have to be a nurse or a doctor. Eurofins is our lab partner. They're actually an international company. We currently are using 10 labs. Our program covers 27 states in the US. We have the entire eastern portion of the US plus all of the South. We go as far west as New Mexico, and we also cover Oklahoma as well. And we send the lab to the sample that's going to provide the quickest turnaround. It may not be the one closest to your location, but it's the one where we know that we can get the stuff turned around. Again, as I said, we're contractually obligated to 24 to 48. Right now, we're running around 20 hours. What you get from us is we have 2 classes a day for training. They're approximately 90 minutes each. They are instructor led. It's through either like a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting. We have one at 9 and one at 2. We do have a video that's available, although we highly encourage the online training. That way you have interaction and can ask questions and get your questions answered rather than watch a video. The materials that we supply is we supply up to 5 barcode scanners per school, and all the materials that you need for the sample collection other than the PPE. We also cover the freight to and from your school. Our logistics people will make arrangements with Fedex to actually pick up the test kits from your school at an agreed upon. We have to give them a window. So if you tell us I'll be through at noon, then we tell them, okay, pick up, between 1 and 3. We're a little different because with us, you don't necessarily have to order anything. We will work with you initially and determine how many of the testing kits that we want to stock in your schools. We can stock them either centrally if you have a central warehouse, and then they can funnel them to the schools, or we can stock them straight at the schools. The kits are relatively small. They're 10 inches by 11 inches by 3 inches tall. They do not require any special storage conditions. So, you can put them in a closet, you can put them in a storage building outside. It doesn't make any difference. So it's no refrigeration or any special storage is required. And if you use 10 kits on Tuesday to test, we will automatically order and replace those 10 kits. So our goal is to try to keep you with enough testing kits to be able to conduct 2 weeks worth of testing. And why us? One, we're FDA approved. All of our labs are CLIA and CPA certified. We want you to safeguard the health of your students and your staff. And with us, there's no impact to your TEA allocation. Since we're not billing the state, your allocation's unaffected until, I'm going to say, maybe January, when TEA reevaluates the allocation by district. I can't tell you whether, but initially, since you don't pay anything for us and we don't bill the state, so in theory, there's no impact to your allocation. We want to protect and prevent, let you find cases early. The schools, like I said, some of them are doing the rapid test and they get 2 children in the 3rd grade. Well, chances are really good you got more than just those 2 that are positive in the 3rd grade. They just may be asymptomatic. So their approach is, okay, let's go test the third grade and see who else we have that's potentially COVID positive. And if you wanted to test the third grade 2 times that week, it's fine with us. You just coordinate with your logistics person and we can handle that. Or if you wanted to test the whole school, we can handle that as well. It's up to you. Uh, we work with you to do what you believe is in the best interest of your students and staff. And we will actually train all of your staff. We provide this the supplies, scanner, and arrange with Fedex. And our tests use the lower anterior nasal swab, so it's an unobtrusive testing environment. And again, it's not one size fits all. You know, I was right before this, I was on the phone with the Travis County jail system where they're going to come on board as a customer as well. And, you know, they're going to use us to test all their new arrivals twice a week. And then weekly, they're going to test, you know, like their laundry staff, the cafeteria staff, as well as all of the officers and other staff that actually work in the jail. And again, we're adaptable. We're focused on, you know, serving your school's testing needs. And the whole thing is to control the spread of COVID and protect your school with accurate and timely data. Here's our primary phone numbers, and we have a main email address as well as I'll click on this here in a minute and you can see where, you know, your parents can go to enroll their children. As an alternate right now, this is my contact information. I am a state leader for all of Texas, so I've got probably the biggest state in our network. Okay, let me just click on this, see if this thing shows up, and it does. This is our website, and we actually provide some parent communication, and I'll click over to that here in a minute. And it's got links to get to this website. There's also a video that walks the parents through how do you enroll. We have a couple of ways of enrolling children. You know, we can, for those with internet access, we prefer the web-based enrollment, which you're seeing now. For those that don't, we can do a paper-based consent form. But this is where your parent would go to register their student. And I do have the video up if anybody wants to see that. And you know, like I said, here's some of the organizations. You know, we do also cover historically Black universities, although the 2 in Texas that were eligible opted or already had their other testing programs and daycares. So it's pretty easy. You just click here and go to find your school. And the video works very well. I'm not going to go through this whole process because I get to some point and I've got to quit because I don't have a pretend data. So you scroll down and pick Texas, continue. Once you're enrolled, you'll show up on the map here as one of these red dots. Let's just pick, we're going to pretend you're Houston here. This is the Montessori. So you select that and then you just tell it whether you're staff, student, or teacher. And then that determines what your screen is going to look like. So you'd input the child's name, middle name you don't have to have, their date of birth, what their address is, the email, because this is the email that you're going to use to log back in to see results as well. If you want to receive the text message, just give us your cell phone, check the block. If you wanted to answer this information at the bottom, you can. It's, you know, optional. And we also do ask your vaccine status on whether you've got, you know, if you've got the 1 dose, it'll only let you pick the J&J. If you got 2 doses, then we ask for the vaccine dates. And then that's pretty much how the student enrolls. And once they register, then they get another verification link on this website to verify that, hey, I am really wanting to enroll my child in this program. Okay. Let's see. I think that's probably about it for presentation. Can y'all see this COVID, this opt-in for COVID-19?
Yes, sir.
Show you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can see your screen.
I'm more used to using Teams than Zoom. I used Zoom before, but I don't. We primarily use Teams. You can customize this and either email it to parents, hand it out, but it does contain the links. That's to the website I just went to. This is the video of what's available. To walk them through, a parent through how to do it. We do have consent forms, the paper consent forms currently in English and Spanish and Portuguese. We're working on, Mandarin Chinese and Vietnamese. And there's got a few questions and answers down here. We also have a letter similar to this that you can give to your teachers and your staff about what you're doing. And all this is provided.
Got it. And all of this is also easily accessible on your website, or once they
once they enroll with us, we can email them this template and then they can do it. It's Perfect. Not available on our website. So
that got you. Makes sense.
Okay. And the consent forms are not available. The online registration has an online consent as part of it. So part of that, registering your child is to also for the parents to provide consent to do the testing. And with us, if they consent once, we're good until the end of the school year. Okay. If the parent changes their mind, they can undo that. If your district says, oh no, I want consent every time, that's up to y'all. Y'all can keep the paper. We don't need it. As part of the training, we have what we call a check-in process where, the first thing you need to do is one, make sure that that student can be tested, that you have parental consent. If you don't have parental consent, you could swab them, but our software will not let you put that person in the system as being tested because it says, no, you don't have parental consent. You cannot test that child.
Okay.
Hang on, I got a couple more here. This is what you get in one of our kits. The kit comes with 48 swabs or Q-tips basically, and they are about the size of a Q-tip. Each is individually sealed, so it's not like you get a baggie full of Q-tips. This is the pool collection vial. Then there's a vial for each person in that pool. You get the bags to put it in. There's actually an instruction sheet that comes with it as well. And there's a pictogram in there about, how do you swab, and you get all the barcode labels for this. All right, come on.
So, hey, Mike. Oh no, you're going right now. This is perfect. Keep going. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry, keep going.
I think this is the last one. When we say pool, our pool is 5 to 24 people. We would normally prefer that if the pool be around 15, but we can go down to 5. So when you're swabbing that person or child, they get swabbed twice. The first swab goes into what we call the pool collection vial, and then the second swab goes to the individual. On the individual, the only thing that you need to do is be sure that we've got the name and date of birth of whoever swab that is. Uh, when the kits get to our lab, we test the 24 that are in here. If there is a positive in here, then we go test the 24 individuals to determine who the positive is. If there's no positive in the 24, then these 24 are presumed negative. And you will see that in our software. Unfortunately, I don't have a good test database, so I can't show you live data for HIPAA reasons because we have the student's name in there or the person's name, so we can't share that with anyone. And all this is tied together. We tied the pool to these individuals, so it really doesn't make any difference kind of who's in the pool. It's just a pool of 24 people is all it really is. It could be a teacher's class. It could be, a pool of, your bus drivers. And you can, I don't want to say you can mix and match, but you really can, because, it's just 24 people in the pool. And then if anybody's positive, then we go down here and we can tell you who was positive out of these 24. And I think that's it for official presentation purposes.
Well, thank you so much, sir. I'm going to go ahead and we have a few questions in the chat, and then some of them I answered, but I think it might be good just to answer
All
them
right.
again for everyone.
I'm gonna go stop sharing at this point then.
Okay, no problem. So the first question is, does pool testing have to be done first, or can a school district choose to do the PCR testing only?
Well, we do PCR testing only, but it is a pooled PCR test. But like I said, we do test the individuals if we get any positive in that pool of 24. So, it's, I'm thinking that probably answered the question. So,
Yep. I think, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
I was just going to read the question and go on. So, do we do the testing ourselves? Yes. You would need to provide the people to do the swabbing and the data entry into, I say data entry, it's basically scanning barcodes into our system so that you tie that individual swab to a person in our software. Because our lab will then, post the results based off of that individual. And, you tie that individual to the barcode label on the pool. So if the whole pool is negative, then every individual tied to that pool gets a negative. You don't necessarily have to be trained specifically to do these collections. It's basically running, put a Q-tip in the bottom of your nose, swirl it around a couple of times in each nostril, and then put it in a vial. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to put it on the card and read the pink lines. I've seen the Binex test, and so there's none of that. There's no reagent, no chemicals. You get Q-tips and plastic vials. The parents, if they elect, the parents can see their child's results, Richard. The school, and you will get a notice as the administrator for a school that your results are there. So you can then go out there and see if you have any positives and then take whatever action you need to based off of, the protocols for your district for positive cases. But the parents will also get either an email or a text message that says that their child's results are out there. Now, currently, we're kind of, I guess I'll say no news is good news. We currently don't send text messages or emails for negative. We're looking at, do we want to change that and send them a notice regardless? But basically, if they get a text message saying your child's results are there, they're either there because they're positive, we got an inconclusive test result, or the results were invalid. So, so we're kind of a no news is good news. What happens to the rest of the swabs that are in the pool tube? For schools, we recommend that you keep some extras around, because we know that sooner or later, somewhere in the testing, somebody's going to drop one on the floor, which is going to make it no good. And then that way you've got extras. But if you don't want to hang on to the extras, you can put them back in the box and send them back to our lab. As long as, you know, as long as nothing's been opened, we'll be more than happy to take back what you don't use. But we do recommend that you keep some extras there in the event that you have something go wrong with with some of the materials. No, I'm not sure. Does any type of liquid or reagent need to be added? No. The only thing you put in the tube is the Q-tip. So that's, you know, we don't have any chemicals in there. What is the latest FedEx? It depends on your location. If you would like us to pick up at, you know, 4 o'clock, we can give FedEx a window that says pick up from, you know, 2 to 4, but it's hard to guarantee what, you know, which end of the window they're going to be on. A lot of it depends on where you're located. We do have some clients where they're in like remote areas, and we've made arrangements with a courier service to pick up the test kits from the client or school and take them to a FedEx facility. We don't want you having to drive, you know, the test kits to a Kinko's or a FedEx drop-off location. We will provide you the FedEx labels if you let us know, okay, we're going to test, you know, 48 people, so we'll give you 2 FedEx labels to take up that. Okay, if a pool takes 24 hours and you get a positive. No, Jeanette, when I say it takes 20 hours, that includes if we have to test the individuals. Currently, we do have 24 to 48 hours contractually to get you the results. But when you get results, they're at the individual level, not at the pool. I'm not sure who this is, but their concern is if they test at 3. What we do is your logistics coordinator will work with you, and you know, we do have to have some kind of finished timeline here. And if you tell us, okay, we won't be through until 3 o'clock, then we will tell FedEx to pick up between 3:30 and 5. And you know, they've normally been very good about doing that. So I think you should be okay on that. And push come to shove, if we had to, you know, it's a little difficult to do same day, but we could arrange for a courier to take that for you. We've actually had one customer here in Houston that tested and didn't tell us about it. And, you know, we ended up making arrangements for her, and she ended up taking them to a Kinko's to drop them off. So, you know, we're flexible. We'll work with you and do everything we can to support you and in your testing needs. You know, we do have like the entire Arkansas prison system, and they're like Texas. They've got some very remote locations. So we actually have couriers that we've made arrangements with to pick up the kits from them and get them to a FedEx drop off. We do have an option for UPS, but although Right now, our primary carrier is FedEx.
Got it. And then, so, Mike, thank you for that. There were two, three questions that I answered while you were presenting that I wanted to just
Okay.
answer again for the group. So, the one of the questions was cost for testing is deducted from the dishes allotment. It was a question mark. So this program is through FEMA and it's completely free. So it would not come from your allocation allotment. So just wanted to say that. So if you go with this and you do the PCR pool testing through them, it will not be deducted from your allocations. The other question that came up live that I answered um, was out of curiosity, since you do not have the rapid testing supplies, can we use another vendor to use for PC? Can we use another vendor for those and then you use you guys for PCR? So basically, they want to know, can we do Affinity for PCR, but then use another vendor for antigen? And yes, you can. We've allowed flexibility within this program and within the vendors to where you can mix and match and choose what you need to choose, as long as you adhere to all of the individual vendors reporting requirements. But we know that every school system is nuanced and different. And so you can choose two vendors, one vendor, or all five. Just as you choose more ones, there's going to be more requirement in terms of what each of them require. But yes,
Okay.
to answer that
Uh,
question.
and someone just asked, will we send FedEx to all schools and district offices? It's up to you. If you want us to, we normally prefer to keep to ship the supplies directly to the school and also pick up from the school. But we've got some customers that have where they're testing all their, I'll call it their central staff and district offices in another location. We pick up from, whatever location you tell us you want us to pick up from. Like I know that there's some larger districts in the Houston and Dallas area where they have a centralized testing facility, and what they're testing there is the people that they can't necessarily tie exactly to a school. We talked to one district earlier this week. They're going to want to have all their teachers tested in one location. That way the students don't see their teachers being tested. So, we're flexible. We'll work with you. You let us know where you want stuff shipped and where you want it picked up from, and that's what will happen.
And then to add on to your point, and thank you so much for touching on that, Mike.
Okay.
This program does cover all staff of the district, and so that would include central office staff, school staff. It also includes board members. So this also includes them. It does not include family members of staff and students if they are not an employee of the district or a student of the district.
Well,
Oh,
hang on. We
yeah.
can do that when what we call a community pop-up testing event. Um, and we've done this with some of the community groups, and we've done it with a couple of schools where, let's say you as a district or you as a principal decide that, well, gee, it'd be nice if, we could do something on a Saturday for, the family members. We can do that and it's covered, but it requires a lot more coordination. Uh, but it would be covered under the program cost at no cost to the family or whoever is done. But where it gets tricky is we have to arrange with FedEx on Friday how many kits they need to pick up Saturday. Uh, so, you would have to, at some point we've got to know that, okay, I'm going to do 200 people or I'm going to do 100 people, whatever it is. And because we have to make arrangements with FedEx to pick those up. And they could actually enroll, beforehand. We would create an entity and call it, let's just say Houston ISD Community Testing. And that way it's not necessarily tied to your district. We would not link it to your district because you wouldn't want to report all those family results mixed in with your student and staff results to dishes every week. So we would separate that from the district, but that is doable, but it requires a little more coordination and effort. It's kind of a value added service that we could provide if you see any need for it. As a private, not As a nonprofit school, enrolling with us does not impact your receiving federal financial assistance.
I got, hold on, let me reread it. That's a great question. Let me get back to you on that one because I have a more direct answer when it comes to the Grants to Schools program with us. I say this is Jeanette Young. We can email you, Jeanette, if you can send me, or you can email COVID case report. And then I want to make sure for this program, we clear that up on an FAQ. So what we are doing, let me throw this out there for everyone. What we are going to be posting next week, some of them are already posted. Every webinar recording is going to be posted. So Affinities will be posted by Monday. We also are going to post the slide decks from each PowerPoint, from each presentation. So you have that. And then we're also taking on a lot of the common questions that we either were not prepared to answer during the webinar or that have come up. And we're going to send it to each vendor. They're going to respond, and we're going to put that in one FAQ vendor document. So what we'll do is we'll add this particular question to that document. Because right now I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Well, for us, we've already gotten the ruling from the Federal Department of Health that using us does not impact your receiving federal financial assistance. I don't know about your program, Damon, and the rules behind the grant that y'all have. So I'll let you. So you just, for us, it doesn't, but I don't know about what's. I know on there was talk on the grant program for the 221 or the one for the nurses that it may or may not, but y'all weren't sure yet. So as a private school, because we currently have private schools that we're doing testing for, both in Texas and elsewhere.
Got it. We'll make sure we get it cleared up so that everyone's clear on our end. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I don't know if it used one of the other PCR vendors, if it does or doesn't. So, but I know for us, it doesn't.
Yep. Well, we still got about 14 minutes. So if there are any more questions, please continue to drop them in the Q&A. We're going to stick around because we want to make sure we get it answered while we have this time.
And if you're interested in, coming on board with us, just email us to the email that was in the slide deck, which, Damon and them already have. The other thing, and I don't think there's probably anybody from Houston on here, but I don't know. But I know that TEA has excluded Houston or some schools in the city of Houston. What is it, after the 15th of November or something? But with us, you can still use us, even though we're part of the TEA, since we're federally funded, you could still use us in one of the city of Houston locations.
And I'll throw this out there as well. We're gonna have a no. You're fine. You're fine. I just want to put out as much information as we can. We're actually doing a webinar scheduled next week on Tuesday at 1 p.m. for those City of Houston schools, just because we know there's specific questions, and so we're going to be doing a webinar. It's a joint venture between the Houston Health Department, TEA, and Dishes, and so we'll be able to answer some more questions there and give them. Yeah.
Is that one going to be on your website? Because I'd like to attend that one.
Yes, sir. And this is for this is for everyone on the call. You can register now on our website. It is there.
All right. I'm going to sign up for it then.
No problem.
Because I have yet to figure out who to get a hold of at the city of Houston. Does anybody else have anything? Yeah.
Well, if not, if there's no more questions, I'll let us down for about another 2 minutes, and then we might end about 10 minutes earlier. If we don't get any more questions. So I'll wait and let folks continue to drop in with questions if they have them.
You're welcome, Jeanette. We certainly appreciate your time as well. Look forward to hopefully helping you out with your testing requirements in the future.
Dear Mike, I just
And
wanted to say thank you. I think you did a fantastic job with laying everything out. I thought the everything was
okay.
very clear. So thank you so much. And I don't know
And
if you had anything else you want to share.
now, just I want to thank everyone that's on the call and to thank TEA and Dishes again for allowing us to, cover our program with the schools.
Got it.
Just
Yeah.
to confirm, no, you do not need to order the test. As part of our onboarding process, we get population data from you, and we understand, okay, even though there may be 1,000 students in your school, you may not test all 1,000. We'll work with you to determine how many test kits to initially supply you with. Generally, whatever that is, we're going to supply you with enough to, let's say test everybody in the school twice. And then as you use those kits, we will automatically replace them, because you have to tell us so that we know how many kits to tell Fedex to pick up. And so as part of that, if you tell us we need you to pick up 10 kits, then we're going to order 10 kits as a replacement.
Got it. So just to clarify, my name is Damon. So Hoyle ISD. We reach out to you all via the email or via the phone call, say that we're interested. Then you guys set up an onboarding meeting, and then from there you'll know from that meeting what, based on population information, how many startup kits we need, and then we'll go from there.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
And
Well,
like I said, with most schools, what we've been doing, and because some of them are not sure yet exactly how many they're going to need. So if they had 500 students and 100 staff and teachers, then we give them enough kits to test 600 people twice.
gotcha. Okay.
And as the program winds down, let's say towards the end of the school year, we will probably back off on replacement. That way you don't end up with all these kits that you've got no need for, and we don't have to spend a bunch of freight bringing them back. Because we're like TEA, our current funding and program ends in July of next year. And whether we're going to have anything next year or not is kind of anybody's guess. I'm hoping we're not having to do COVID testing again next year. So, as I think all the rest of you probably are as well.
Yes, sir. Well, okay. Well, if there's nothing
All right.
further, thank you again. We
Thank
thank
you,
Affinity for
Damon.
being here. You guys have a great weekend. We'll get this webinar and the slide decks posted within the next 1 to 2 business days. We're looking forward to working with you all. Thank you.
All right. And you've got our slide deck already. So,
Yes, sir.
okay.
All
All
right.
right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
You as well. Bye.